Okay, we are recording. We are online for our second Zoom meeting for Right by the Rails. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm so glad everybody's here today. This is so cool. So this morning, I just want to have the officers, we can introduce ourselves, and we have a salon style today. We're going to talk about tips, and we're going to talk about issues that you might have with your writing. We're going to talk about books we're reading, and then if there's any time left over, we'll do some work in progress reading. So lots of good stuff going on. I'm Catherine Gotthard, and I'm the president. This is my second term, I think, being president and one of the founding members. And I'm going to pass it over to the rest of our officers to introduce themselves. I'll talk about my books and things later. That's why this is a salon. Okay, so Kathy, you're to my right, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. Kathy Ryan, I'm the treasurer. This is my first full year as treasurer, so I'm trying to just keep track of stuff and set up some procedures so that when I hand this gladly off to the next person, they will have some procedures in line to follow. And I'm gonna pass you off to Becky.
Nope, hear me. Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay.
There you go.
Y'all can hear me. Yep, I'm Becky Sosa, go by Bex or right by RL Sosa. And I'm the secretary, and I'm the one in charge of sending out all the emails. And I don't remember what term this is, but it took me a year just to kind of get what was going on. So doing the minutes too.
Thank you. All right, Jan.
I'm Jan. I'm the vice president, past president, longtime member. I think that's good enough, right?
Yeah, we can talk about our writing later, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to do is, Kathy, actually, do you have a treasurer's report for us or any changes since last month?
Unmute myself. There we go. Yes, I do. Yeah, we've had some changes. We had, let me see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members who have paid dues, joining either as new members or reinstating themselves as members currently. We started with the balance, total balance of all accounts of $3,366.89. Some checks, there's one check still outstanding. And our current balance, the check that's outstanding is the one for the Christmas market authors. And that one will need to be, will clear at some point. I'm not sure when they will pay the dues for that, but that's check is $660. And the Trinity check did clear. That one was on hold from last month. So we have a current balance, $3,262.49, which bodes really well for our fall workshop. And we know this virus is going to be gone, and we will have a really outstanding workshop this fall coming up. So any questions on that report, anyone? There'll be, I'll put up the full report with the supporting documents and so forth on the site so that we can get to it if we need to.
Oh,
Yeah.
looks like Nate has a question.
Nate?
I just wanted to raise the possibility that the virus won't be gone, and I think we'll still be in lockdown. So I wanted to bring your attention to doing a virtual workshop. So we can plan for it, start thinking about it now, because I really don't expect the virus to be gone by the fall workshop.
Well, the virus is never going to be gone. The virus is out there, and it is, so whether or not we'll be able to actually have a workshop or not, that's true. Whether we'll be able to have a virtual or a real one, we'll see.
Yeah, I think we can probably do it either way. Morgan?
I was just going to suggest that maybe we should set it up to do it both ways, because there may be some people with higher risk factors that wouldn't be able to attend in person even if it is open. And so that way we can include everyone no matter where they are and where their health situation is. Or maybe they're a nurse and don't want to expose other people to what they're exposed to every day. So.
Everybody look at Jan.
I know, I was just gonna say, I was the nurse on call last night. So far, I have not been, as far as I know, around somebody who had COVID. Although, I was around one person who had a fever, and I did do a 14-day stay home quarantine and not working at my nurse job, which is since passed by about 2 weeks. And so I'm hoping I don't have to do that again.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea to do it both ways. I also think we ought to figure how many tables we can put in there. And if we do it in person, I would say we limit it to 3 people per table or something like that.
Maybe smaller tables?
I don't think the church has them. We could use them if we provided them. Or we could just say no tables and we spread the place out a whole lot more. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something we should definitely work on.
Everybody bring a card table?
Yeah, we could do that. But we would still, I think we'd go up there, the board could go up there and figure out what, set up chairs and say, okay, we could safely have this many people. I think we also might say we're going to require a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. See you on the internet. You don't have to wear one.
I think that's a good idea to have it both ways. I really like that. And then we can record it too.
Yeah, and we can make that, I mean, as it gets closer, we can find out what's more appropriately being done in the community.
Right. Morgan, are you raising your hand? Oh, okay.
I was scratching my chin.
Oh, okay, all right.
Don't touch your face.
Exactly.
I'm in my house by myself.
Don't you love the nags? Any more questions on the treasurer's report? All righty. And I'll mute my...
I did have a question. You said the one check that was outstanding was from the Christmas thing, and I'm assuming that's the Dallas Expo that I was taking part in.
That's
but
right.
That's the check. Like we're all paid up for that. That's just the out.
Right. The members who it's the check from the club that is paying to sponsor the event. Yeah, to sponsor your table. So yeah, all the members who were participating in that, their payments have been recorded last month, and that check then was written. It just hasn't been. It hasn't been. Yeah, it hasn't cleared yet. So.
Okay.
All right. So we have are you all set? Anybody else have questions or? No? Okay. I'm taking a screenshot for posterity. Just save it. And so as you know, we had a poetry contest for National Poetry Month in April. And we decided that we were going to actually give some prizes. First prize is an Amazon gift card for $50, second and third for $25 apiece. And we had some great results. I was just really pleased with the entries. I did not want to be a judge because I was the one saying, yeah, enter, and reading all the poems. So what we did is we had a blind panel of 3 judges. The judges actually don't even know who the other judges are. That's how blind the panel was. And we had a set of criteria. Basically, the criteria was like, did the poem evoke any kind of emotional response or a cognitive response? Rate the rhyme and the rhythm, and were the wording appropriate, that kind of thing. So it was, I think, the judges did an awesome job, and they were put into a really difficult position of having to judge some excellent entries. and it was really hard. So, but we did come out with some winners. And first place was Kathy Haley. Second place was Brian James, and third place was Zach Tamer. So they will be notified in email, and they will get their gift cards. Our next contest is going to be the Golden Nib Award, and that is through Virginia Writers Club. So if you want to take part in that, then you would sign up for Virginia Writers Club, and then we're running the award through ours, and then it goes to the state level. So look for more information on that as it comes. And there's different categories for the golden nib. So we'll get some details for you on that. But I want to congratulate everybody who entered. That was excellent, and it was great to see. At first I was like, oh my gosh, nobody's entering, and then everybody entered kind of at the last minute. It was like this swarm of poetry. So it was fun reading that. So thank you.
It's the way it always happens when there's a deadline.
I think so. I had this grand illusion that everyone was kind of drop poems in kind of throughout the month, and yeah, that was a grand illusion because we're writers and we are deadline driven, and that's what we do. So, so Kathy, you're the one that came up with this idea of a salon. So I'm going to put you on the spot and have you kick it off, if that's okay. That's good. What I kind of wanted to do is go around from person to person and talk about what projects you're working on. And if you're struggling with anything in particular, or you have something that you have discovered in the last month or so that you're finding works for you particularly well, just tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what you're having problems with, if you're having problems with something. Also, I'm curious about what people are doing to improve their writing. What kind of things are you doing? So why don't we start with we'll just go from person to person with all three things, and then we can kind of open it up for ideas if someone is having a particular problem, ideas that people may have for solutions for that. And let's see, well, I'll start it off and then we'll go on around. I've done a very foolish thing again this spring, and I have too many big projects. I have 3 novels that are in draft, and they've all been completed, the first draft completed, and in various stages of revision. So the one I'm focusing on now, I've just begun talking with an editor on that, and this is a developmental editor. That one will be a YA maturity, worldview maturation plot. The other thing I'm working on is my local church has tapped me to help write a history of the church. We had the history complete until about 45 years ago, so I'll be bringing it from that period, the late 70s up to current day. And so I'm elbow deep in research for that every day, and then learning how to write a history. And then I'm also taking a year-long course with the StoryGrid Guild. I don't know if some of you are familiar with StoryGrid, but it's the focus is on story theory and then application of story theory through writing exercises and a humongous amount of reading and a lot of lectures and stuff. It's a really, really intense and very, very good program. 2 things I wanted to talk about in writing the history. We got, what's his name? Rook. He's one of our members. He just published a book. Catherine, help me out there.
Victor. Rook. Victor.
Yep.
Victor, thank you. I was missing the first letter there. Victor's book is really a good summary of how to go about self-publishing, or deciding if you really want to self-publish or not, just the process, things to think about, and things that you can do for your own manuscript to get it into shape so that you can, when you send, if you do decide to send it to someone, it won't cost you as much in terms of time to get your manuscript ready. It really is a good, very basic how-to set of instructions. The other thing I want to recommend again is Tim Grawl. He is a really good source for information on how to publicize your own manuscripts, your own books once you've self-published. He has both, if you have a platform, he has real good instruction on how to do your marketing if you have a platform, and how to do it if you've self-published it and then like nobody's reading it and it's been sitting out there for a year, and what to do then if you want to do a relaunch, and then how to go from there when you have no platform, how to get people to be aware that you even exist, that your book even exists, and begin to market it from just cold start.
What is his name again, or what is the name of the book?
Now he has books and classes. It's Tim Grawl, Grahl, I think. I will put a link to, he's got a workshop that's coming up in a couple of weeks that is a free workshop. And I would like to put the link up on the Right by the Rails Facebook page.
Yes.
And anyone, I'm in conversation with him, and you know, for anybody that's interested in how to go about promoting your own from a cold start, that's a really good resource. I'm also writing a short story for an anthology, but that's another problem. And then, so my biggest problem really is time management. And one of the things that Tim, not Tim, but Sean Coyne, who wrote StoryGrid, his thing is, he says, you writers, your job is to push the pebble down the road a little bit every day. So with each one of these projects, it's not a matter of I got to sit in this chair for 7.5 hours and get this work done, because that'll burn you out fast. The job is to push the pebble down the road a little bit every day. And that's been such a help for me, where I've got multiple projects and I can't afford to let any of them stall. So, so that's me. John, let's go over to you and talk about what you're doing. And I'm gonna mute.
I'm just, I just got some things in the works. Just trying to finish a kids book trilogy I was working on. Often trouble right now. I find just time to write, just because everyone's in the house, and that's my biggest thing. So not a lot going on. Just putzing every now and then, I guess I could call it. I need to.
Spilled ink twice a month.
Yeah, Spilled Ink. Spilled Ink is going well. We're getting some people actually subscribing to the channel, so that's pretty cool. So looking forward to watching some of these other how these online workshops. I know Morgan's doing an online workshop or con that I want to check out. So nothing really new.
Say what you said in the comments, though, because everybody might not have read it.
What?
Poet Laureate stuff.
Oh yes, the Poet Laureate. I put that up there. Let me see.
It's in chat.
Yes. Remember, if you live in Prince William County, they're doing the Prince William County Poet Laureate contest. They're always looking for poets, so you can find the form at spilledink.com. And then my other comment was for the workshop that you're looking for, if you need more space, Clearbrook Center of the Arts might be available. I know they're always open, and they're always looking for people in events. So if you need something even larger.
They've been awesome. We had them booked for like most of the year until this hit.
Right.
And we had Trinity Episcopal booked for the 2 workshops. We donate to them to do that.
So that's about it for me. Let's see. Should I just, who's next?
Hey, Bex, why don't we pick up Bex? She's the
Bex?
next one on my screen.
All right.
Bex, I know you're working on stuff. You are muted. You are muted.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel like I am actually turning a corner. Kathy, what you mentioned on, what the other author said, like, what if you have a book that just sits there and never sells? And that's pretty much what I did. I had a really cool book that was piecemeal. This is a project that started 10 years ago. And it's been long, but I really feel like I've turned a corner. And the big thing is that after the virus broke out, I was just really depressed and having a hard time getting off the couch and just getting motivated to do anything. So I decided to reach out and start on a project. So what I did was I reached out to Jasmine Oliver, and she used to be with Right by the Wells for years. I think all of y'all know that. And she even though she's a writer, she's also, I don't know, the stars just aligned. So I reached out to Jasmine. She's just graduated college in January, just finished up with college. And then this thing hit. All job possibilities are stopped for now. I reached out to John, who'd had my illustrator nephew, who's an artist, but he had had a really hard time, and he'd been ready to move back to Asheville. He had to go move in with his dad for a month or two to help his father, and then that turned into like an 8-month thing. And so he was just feeling like he was in a bad place, but good, because he's got lots and lots of art building up for a huge portfolio, but was just ready to move back to Asheville when this thing hit. And so all of us were just sitting here with nothing to do. So we decided, let's do a new project. But Jasmine stepped in and said, before we even start on anything new, let's take it back and go all the way to, let's go to marketing. So she knows what a scatterbrain I am. She knows that I've got the potential to do my marketing, and I'm talented that way, but I I pick something up and I start on it and then I drop the ball. And then, so she's teaching me consistency through flow sheets, spreadsheets. So I've just been working like crazy doing spreadsheets on that. Let's do your marketing idea. What are we going to be posting? She got me on Hootsuite, but I need to get her the copy so that she can put everything together. And then we're just on the free one right now, but I think we're going to need to upgrade it. But literally, she was laughing at me because we would be a little cross-eyed, but she would go into Flowsheet Wonderland and I would come out of Photoshop Wonderland, and we were both like, "Whoa!" But it's been really good. I feel like I've turned a corner. If I could share it, I have a flow sheet of just a place to dump ideas for the entire year. And then I have a day by day by day, what are we posting, which means I'm on Photoshop or I'm on Kavna making my post, thinking about my post, so that when the time comes, it just bleep goes out. The other thing that I want to share is that part of that, I've heard this all along, but for social media, post something stupid, like an animal, post something, the things that people look at. And I've always like, seriously, do I have to do this? But as someone that's throwing myself back in or into social media pretty much for the first time as a user, I was depressed and on the couch, and I thought, I know I'm going to be I need to start exercising. And I had decided I'm colorizing John's book while we're doing the other stuff. So as a first-time user, what did I do? I went to Twitter and I typed in giraffe. And the first two things popped up, and one of them was this silly little pony that she had shaved the winter coat off, but left spots, so the pony looks like a giraffe. I said, okay, well, that's a first. But the second one was actually from an author who had done the stupid little googly baby giraffe. And she said, yeah, I walk like a giraffe. I can't walk. But it turned out that's what connected me with that second one, with the author. She's putting her book out this week. She's only 25 years old, and she's got a major deal with something called A Boy Who Could See Color, spelt with a U. And I'm at that very day taking the color out of my giraffe stories and making a coloring book. So it's like everything aligned. She immediately followed me, and I'm following her, and it's good because she's publishing and she's doing the stuff that I am now getting ready to do. So I'm kind of following her lead. And she is having to do it all, even though she's got a major publishing deal. It's still her that's doing it, which is something that Jan has said all along to me. It's like, you're self-publishing, but if you don't, you still have to do all this marketing stuff. Right. So I'm really good. The one problem I'm running into is I'm ready now. I have my coloring book, but the one problem was I was just having troubles creating my cover. And so finally I said, I know what I want. I got the portrait, and I've got signs, coloring book. And what's going to happen there is I just couldn't do the sign. So I called up John and said, I need this from you. So he gave me those, but now I'm really scared that I'm going to go through my Photoshop rabbit hole again and get lost in the layers and, whatever. So, but that's what I need to do in the next 2 days, because that will determine my release date. If it's, I'm thinking though, I've just gone through this morning and I was figuring out when I'm going to release the free PDF of my coloring book to all caregivers and starting that like tomorrow. But the big free PDF of my coloring book is going to come on National Creativity Day, which is May 30th. And so June, in the mid-June, I'm actually releasing the coloring book. But once again, I'm like, am I picking these dates right? What if I order these? So my initial day of publishing the book, I decided to move that up to June. But initially, I'm like, oh, good, I'm going to do a coloring book, and we'll be finished with that next month. And, that was always my thing, is like, okay, give myself time. Don't freak out. Move it over for another month. But I don't want to move it out indefinitely. So I actually have it on the date now. So
Cool.
It's good. I'm very excited this week. It's like, okay, I'm lost but I'm filling out these forms, and I'm becoming a bit obsessive about them. I can't leave once I start filling them out. But it is getting me to dump a lot of ideas for marketing onto these spreadsheets, and then they're there to reach and grab.
And is it just Excel you said you're using, Bex? What did you call it? Something Flow?
I couldn't hear you.
There was something else that you were using, something Flow?
Oh, Photoshop is what I'm using to create my images.
There was something else though. Maybe that's what Jasmine's using?
I thought she was just talking flowcharts in general.
Oh, yeah.
A specific.
Okay.
I'm saying flowcharts, but I should have been saying spreadsheets. And if I could share which I probably can, but I'm not even going to go down this rabbit hole. And it is like scroll down, 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 down. And it's like, here's your idea. Here's your date. Here's the idea. Here's the text. Here's the JPEG. What is this? What are the specifics for Facebook versus Twitter versus whatever? I want 3 JPEGs for each one. What are the proper hashtags that are going to go on the copy? That type of thing.
Oh.
So it's like not only an idea, but it goes all the way across the columns. But then it goes down, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? When is Memorial Day? What can I do for Memorial Day?
Right, so a real content calendar.
Yes, content calendar.
Cool.
Specific for the whole year, for the big idea dump, And
That's
then
something to
specific
stay
for on the weekly basis, like day by day. So we have May content, and then we have the year content.
So do you use Excel to do that spread? I mean, did you use an Excel template or something or not?
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
Jasmine
okay.
set it up for me. Jasmine is the one who's making this happen for me. So yes, I have a buddy.
Yeah.
So she's using Google documents that we're sharing, and she used, I guess it's the Google document.
Okay.
Now I have forever been a Mac user, so right away I don't even know how to use the spreadsheets because I'm like, well, I'm numbers. If I wanted to do this, it does that. So, you know, I went down that little, you know, learn how to use the spreadsheet thing. But yeah, it is a spreadsheet. And I finally figured out how to like have the date here and have a color code of the social medias on the other side so that I'm not having to scroll. I can scroll up and down, but I need to keep all the columns within this space. And yeah, I would love to be able to share it to y'all. I'll probably post it because it's quite amazing.
Yeah, you've got a question in chat, so if you could just answer in chat. And Kathy, you were going to say something? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was thinking there were two things you talked about that were especially helpful to you in that, and one was having a partner, somebody that you were reporting to that was helping you stay accountable, helping you get on track, and these sheets are helping you organize so that you're on some kind of a path so that you're not just getting to your desk each day and saying, oh my gosh, what shall I do now? Or walking away and watering the plants and forgetting to do anything at all.
Correct.
So having an accountability partner really does help too, I think.
Yeah, and you know, it's not just that. She's not just any accountability partner. She's the one who helped me put my first book together. She was the editor for that, even though, like I said, she's a writer, and now she's just graduated from college with, you know, communications. And so what she's doing is something that she learned and had only done it in theory, and now she's putting the theory to action and using me. You know, she's using me as her guinea pig, which is, I think, her nice way of saying, you need help, let me help you.
So what I'm hearing is we need to reach out to Jasmine to be a speaker, to teach the rest of us some of these things. That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
But Jasmine's a good speaker. She's spoken at things before, so yeah, we could do that.
Here's something else about her is that she brought up an old movie, you know, but there was a writer and the publisher, she wasn't producing, she wasn't whatever. And so the publisher actually sent somebody over, you know, to guide this writer. Like, why aren't you meeting deadlines? Queen Latisha played that part. And Jasmine's like, that's what I want to do. It's exactly what she's doing, because I freak out very easily sometimes. So it's kind of like, you know, and she kind of brings me off my ledge. And, but then I'm very confident and comfortable with her. So I'm not at all intimidated, and I could, oh, we have an idea for this. Oh, okay, I can. And suddenly, you know, I got it. I'm also, and I'm hogging up the meeting, but I got a round robin that I started. Last week was our first week. Literally, this is our first week of me doing this. And so I started a round robin for the kids, and I actually got one participant. So I'm going to go around, and my neighbor who's mowing my yard is going, with the help of his dad, is going to join in the round robin. And I'm just going to start grabbing kids because we can't do it with just two. And then my husband and I were talking, and we're like, oh my God, I got to have a cookie bake. Like, we're going to have a weekly or a monthly cookie event, a virtual cookie party where they all virtually come together, and then we can munch on cookies, bake cookies, and talk about books, talk about my book, talk about y'all's book, you know, whatever. So I can see this as something monthly going on, because I can't have these to be sell. It needs to be building a community and bringing them together.
Cool.
So that's my other goal.
Okay. Let's move on to what kind of time limit do we have on this, Catherine? We have to be done at what time?
I think we've got till probably about 10:15-ish. Sorry, yeah,
Right.
we're done.
I feel like I took up all of our time.
Okay, Alice, you're the next one on my screen. Now tell us what you've been up to and what's going on.
Well, I've been working on my novels, which seem like perpetual. But anyway, I have 3 science fiction novels in progress. 2 are kind of, I have like first, second drafts of them. And then I alternate between them because that, I know that sounds a little confusing, but I get kind of stale on one of them, so I move to the other one. I will say that I've been using a tool called Autocrat. It's an online thing. You have to pay for it. Like, I mean, you subscribe to it. But what it does is it actually, you can run your whatever work you're working on, novels, stories. I don't know, I've never tried poetry through it. And it will give you reports back about, you know, are you using cliches? Are you using too much passive? Do you have too much repetition of certain words? And one of the things that it helps me is I do have all these little tics in my writing. You know, I'm sure everybody has them, right? Like one of my little thing that I didn't know that I was always doing is I use as if, but not like as if in California Girl style, but instead of as though as or like or something like that. Anyway, it's one of the examples. And then it gives you reports on things like, are you using too much starting your sentences with the names of people or with gerunds or something like that. So I've been using that, and it's been lots of fun actually, because I get, like, it gives you a summary report and gives you statistics and things like that. Now I know creative writing isn't only having the statistics, but once you've got your idea down and you've got kind of the whole plot laid out and you're writing it, and because I'm not one of these people that does outlines, I can't, that's not how I work. I kind of start at the beginning of the story and I kind of let it evolve as I go along, thinking how the characters would react. But then of course you got to fix it up, because it's not going to be necessarily readable the first or second or third time you edit it. So I've been working on that. And then the other thing I did which was interesting, was I did enter the poetry contest, and that was kind of fun. So to get inspiration for that, actually, I just read some other poetry. I hadn't read much poetry for quite a while, just because I'm more of a nonfiction, mystery, science fiction type person. And yeah, there's poetry there. I mean, if you look at Lord of the Rings, obviously he, you know, created music and poetry and that. But anyway, so I went back and read Robbie Burns, and I read The Green Knight, and those were kind of fun to read. And then I do read a lot. So I'm in a reading group where we're looking at Hugo winners, which is kind of an interesting thing. Like, I mean, the reason I do that, because I like science fiction stories, right? And you can see the evolution of science fiction over time, because we're around like the mid 60s or something like that. I forget exactly where we are, maybe early 70s. And science fiction changes a lot all the time. And, you know, like and I mean, there's other types of science fiction too, like The Handmaid's Tale and those types of things. So that's what I've been doing. And for inspiration, it just depends on a daily basis. When I decided to try my hand at the poetry, I just picked up a book of poems and started kind of going through that. When I get stuck in my mystery novels, which I've written 2 of, I go read a mystery novel or a couple of them. I look up what's current bestsellers. And I'm not one of these people that on a daily basis tries to do prompts or something like that. That only helps if I'm trying to write flash fiction. And lately I haven't written much of that. So that's where I am.
Catherine, you had a question? Did you have your hand up?
I did.
No, that was a clap.
Oh, there was a clap. Okay.
Oh.
I thought you had your hand up for a question.
I did. What was the program that you used? That was give you
It's
the.
called Autocrat, AUTOCRIT.
Yeah, and I put it in the Bex, I put it in the chat too, the link to it.
Oh, like a critic. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not free, but I mean, I don't think it's very expensive for all the different functionality it has.
I like hearing on your you know, you're not one to really use prompts, or you're not one to start a story with an outline, because I'm the same way. I can't do outlines. I just like to see where my stories go. They take themselves to their own place, and it's good to hear someone else say that, because I think for years I couldn't write because teachers would have me do that as a kid, and I think that's really where I started to lose a lot of stuff.
Well, some people do that. Like if you, I participated in a seminar, or it was online, but it was, who's that guy? There's a master class that was by John Patterson, James, whatever first name is. And that's what he does. So he's a very famous, you know, well-published, cranks them out type of person. And his thing was that you start with trying to figure out the outline of your plot. I think that might work a little easier in mystery. You know, like if you're kind of doing something, or maybe romance, because a lot of those, you know, they have certain structures that readers come to expect. But I am like you. I start out with the characters, I put them in the situation, and then I just kind of let it evolve.
Morgan, you're the next one on my screen, but I know that you have also studied some on the Save the Cat. Isn't that one that you have studied in particular that talks about story structure? You want to talk?
I definitely have checked out beat sheets and stuff like that, but not specifically read Saves the Cat. I definitely do like the beat sheets, although I ignore them for my first draft, except maybe slightly when outlining. But when I go to do my first round of revisions, then I'm like, okay, how's my pacing? Because pacing is something I worry a lot about.
Right. Well, why do you ignore them on your first draft? We want to talk about that a little bit?
Because I want to get the story out and find out what happens to these people I almost know in my head and how they got to where I know they're going to go.
Exactly. So you by ignoring it, you allow yourself the freedom to get the story out, and then you go back and reorganize it. What are you working on right now? There's a novel you've been working on a while.
So I actually got a mentor about 2 Januaries ago, and we've been very slowly revising my YA fantasy novel. It's about a girl who finds out she's been cast out by her goddess and runs away before the temple kills her, and then finds out the temple has her sister. So she has to go rescue her sister. I kind of, yeah, so I really enjoy that one. But so right now my mentor has 3 chapters of that she's working on. And in the meantime, I have feedback from some beta readers on a middle grade fantasy that I wrote 2 NaNoWriMos ago. It's a school play story and also a story about standardized testing. But because it's me, it's completely fantasy, in which if you have the power and you're a writer, you can start to change the world around you. And people who read what you write, you know, if they really identify with this character with pink feathers for hair, their hair starts to turn a little pink and a little feathery. So whatever you connect with in a story can really start to change you, but it's temporary and wears off if your belief fades.
Oh, that.
So it's super fun, but the structure was inspired by watching way too much Wishbone in the 90s. So
well, tell me a little bit about how you found your mentor. How did you choose your mentor?
I actually, I was at World Fantasy Con in 2018, and I got talked to by several ladies in this group called Broad Universe that supports women in science fiction and fantasy writing. And they go to conventions and they have a group table and everybody takes a turn sitting at the table, so that way you can share your stuff without having to buy your own individual table. And they were doing a trying out this whole mentorship program thing. So I applied, I got my mentor. It officially ended in April of last year, but we didn't finish my novel yet. And she volunteered out of the goodness of her heart to keep going. So, but we slowed it way down, which is why the pace has been a little ridiculous. It should not have taken a year and a half to get as far as we have. But, you know, paying work comes before helping me out, and I totally understand and respect her time. So,
Yeah.
So Morgan, you did one big thing since last time. I've been waiting for you to say it.
which I have done so much.
You submitted something, girl.
Oh, yeah, I actually submitted one of the stories twice. I've already gotten 2 rejections. One poem got rejected. And one story's been submitted once. So I need to send those back out.
I was so happy when you put that up because I'm like, I've been bugging you.
Right. Yeah, so I'm hoping to get some more stuff out soon. But my time is completely consumed right now because Balticon, which is Baltimore's science fiction and fantasy convention, Memorial Day weekend, recruited me 2 weeks after the coronavirus stay-at-home order to run their social media once they decided that the convention is going virtual and free. So all those panels I usually blog about, y'all can attend via Zoom online and just check them out.
That sounds wonderful.
So that's the 22nd through the 25th. And there's a lot fewer panels than there usually are because we only have 10 Zoom rooms available and they want like half an hour to make sure all the participants have their tech issues worked out before starting the panel. So we're running 5 at a time, plus stuff on Twitch, YouTube, and there's a Discord server set up so you can chat and visit like dealers and artists and stuff like that as well. So,
Cool.
So yeah, yes, thank you for linking it, John. So that's been consuming a lot of my time lately. So there is
really
that.
cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I like that when you get to a certain place where you've got something that can help somebody else that's in the same, it's one of the things I love about writers is that reaching out and we pull each other along. Paulette, you had talked about your editors and once before, what are you working on now? I know are you planning to attend that convention?
I am A, attending the convention. B, I'm going to be on 3 different panels at the convention talking about beta reading and things like that. What the querying process is like for people on my side of the table, because they always have panels about what it's like for the people selecting the queries and not so much dealing with the rejection and stuff like that. So that's something I have a lot of experience with.
Cool, thank you.
So I also wanted to share one of the tools I use to try and stay organized because I also do slush reading for an online magazine and beta reading for people. And so I've started using Trello, which is like a project management tool, because in my day job, we have these project management tools. Basically, it's an online to-do list with columns, so you can have what's on deck, what's up right now, and what's done, and you can just drag them over to done. And inside each item, you can have like a checklist of all the things, and you can copy the checklist. So when I do my author spotlight, I have, have I sent the initial email? Have I gotten it? Have I prepped it to post? And I can just check things off and it shows me percentage done. And it makes me feel like I'm making progress. And that way I don't forget about that beta reader or this thing. Because, when you're juggling a lot of projects, it A, helps to break them down into chunks so you don't feel so overwhelmed, but B, it helps to see yourself making progress. And it helps to not feel like, oh, I forgot about that 3 months ago. So Trello, yeah. I think I have a blog post on that.
Hey, John, thank you so much. Anybody that's wanting to capture these, John has been, and Catherine too, have been putting these links to that people are mentioning on the group chat. So all of those are over there. Thanks, John, for doing that. You're very quick. Paulette, if you would like to talk a little bit about what you've been up to and unmute yourself, can you do that?
I will.
And
So I haven't been writing a whole lot lately. For me, it's been more about, you know, mental health the last couple of months. You know, we had a lot of things in our household canceled. And some of them, while they might seem small, were very big to us. So since graduation was canceled, that was huge. You know, I have a son who's autistic, and the accomplishment of graduating, you know, going through high school and getting that, not getting to have the ceremony is a big deal. And, you know, we've had to deal with quite a bit. I was meant to have had surgery on a torn ligament or a torn tendon. That's been postponed. So we've been dealing with quite a bit. And so, but, you know, still doing fine otherwise, you know, thank goodness for Walmart delivery. But, you know, I did a little bit of nano, started out strong, then kind of petered out. But in the meantime, Natalina and I are working on another workshop with the library. We did one, which was basically a more expanded version of our From Spark to Finish, which we did at one of the Right by the Rails workshops. And then we're going to do another one on marketing in July. It's been postponed to July. And I think we're going to do it virtually. So this should be interesting, you know, trying to work that out. But that should be a lot of fun. I like collaborating with her. She's a great person to work with. But, you know, over the winter, I did finish up one of my trilogies, but I haven't sent it to the editor. I'm just kind of letting it sit and stew, and I'm thinking about it because, you know, the first draft is always kind of so letting it sit on the back burner for a little while before I visit it again, and just kind of working on other little side projects. But on the mental health note, you know, it's funny, I think you reach a point where you're like, I'm in trouble and I need to do something. And so I did create a list of, you know, have you done these things today? You know, did you get some exercise? Did you, you know, text a friend? Did you write anything? Just, you know, even if it's like a paragraph. So it's not a 0-word day. What else is on my list? For me, it's play an instrument, you know, pick up one of my instruments and play that. So for me, it's been an interesting journey the last 8 weeks of combining my day job and my writing business and how to address mental health. So learning a lot.
yeah, I like that list. That is a great idea, because you forget about taking care of yourself when you're so overwhelmed with taking care of other people. What is your usual process, Paulette? You said that you have completed your first draft in the winter, and then you sit on it for a while before you send it to, what kind of an editor do you then send it to?
So I use an editing group that, so I have my primary editor who does really the kind of substantive stuff. And then I have a proofreader. So we go through 2 rounds of substantive editing, then it goes to the proofreader. And then, you know, ostensibly it's ready. At that point, I've read it so many times, I'm sick of my own book. And, you know, I never want to see it again. But yeah, so quite a few. I don't do beta readers. I've thought about it. And then kind of, I know people keep advising me to do it, and I don't. But I know that that's another important step that people do use. and it's been helpful to them, but I just don't use it. I don't know why, but I do tend to set aside drafts for at least a month, at least, just because it's good to kind of have some time apart from it, and you go back to it, and all the things that you thought were brilliant maybe aren't so brilliant, and then some of the things that you thought were kind of dumb, you're like, oh, that was actually clever. So
Well, some people might not know, how many books have you published?
I have published 6 books and 1 anthology. The anthology, I took my short story out and am publishing it, not like on Amazon or anything, but I'm bringing it with me to signings when we're doing signings again. God willing, bringing that with me to use as almost like a marketing tool, because it's about I don't know how many thousands of words. It's only like 11 or 12,000 words, but I paid for it to be formatted. Oh my gosh, English is escaping me. Formatted, and then had a cover put on it. And I actually learned this marketing gimmick from my editor, because she was part of an anthology as well. And so she took her short story. And so say somebody came to your table and they bought a couple of books, you're like, here you can have this one for free. Or if somebody is kind of like, oh, I don't really, they're kind of like on the fence about you, you'd be like, hey, you want this for $1? It costs you more than that to produce it, but it's a way of advertising what you do. They can get a taste of what your writing is like, or if you're in the mood to just give it away for free, you can. And so it's a nice way to kind of introduce people to other things that you write that they may not write. So the one I have is a story about a gin, and it's a humorous one. And so I just was like, oh, it's a great marketing tool. I had all these things set up for, the con season. And then, I found out that my sprained ankle was actually a torn tendon, and I had to do all this stuff. And so I canceled all my tables, and then COVID hit, and I'm like, well, then there goes all of 2020. So I'm really hoping for a strong 2021. Yeah. Because I'm looking at this, like, it's right behind me. I'm looking at my, inventory here going, this should be like, by now, it should be like depleted, but it's not. So I'm feeling all these companies that are, are struggling. I'm sitting here staring at my inventory every day when I telework. So
I love that you had to stop and count up your books. It's like,
That's
let me
awesome.
think, how many? That's cool.
One of my inspirations, that's why I asked the question.
It is inspiring. Jan, why don't you tell us what you're doing? I know you've been working on a nonfiction.
Lately, to be honest, I've been writing lesson plans, teaching, and working as a nurse. So
What's the matter, girl?
The extent of what I have been doing. So, it is what it is. I love being a nurse. The other big thing I've been doing is intentionally finding fun to put out on Facebook, so that I have a lot of friends who this is a huge trauma for them. And I guess from all my years being a nurse, and nurses have a quirky sense of humor anyway, and I have a lot of friends that are also single. So that's been my intentional writing, is through Facebook and perking people up. So that's what I got.
That works really, really well.
I'll pass on to somebody else.
I've been noticing those posts now that I'm on social media, and I love them. They've been helping me because it's been, I guess, Paul, like you said, it's a social mental health thing. So
it is for everybody. I hear it from my patients, from my coworkers, and I guess for me, because I battled depression in my past, and now I've been taking meds for years, this doesn't really bother me, because I have my medications in me that are living through chemistry. That's what I've been saying for years. So at least so far so good for me. So I want to help others.
Very good. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Joanne, you're the next one on my screen. What have you been working on? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
There you go.
I've been working on poetry. The last 2 years have been kind of busy for me. I published a book and then I had a gallery show. So they took a lot of my time. So I haven't had much free time. So I've been reading a lot of poetry and writing a lot of poetry. Basically, that's what I've been doing. I was supposed to have a show at Lynchburg College of my gallery show, and that's put on hold because of the virus. And I was supposed to have a photo workshop, and that's on hold because of the virus. So I have a lot of free time right now, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm back to writing, which, you know, fulfills me.
Mhm.
So that's what I've been doing. A lot of poetry, probably about 18 different poems. So 2 on the coronavirus, and well, that's about it, really. You know, I write them and then I leave them for probably a week to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, then go back over them, see how they are.
I saw something in Virginia Writers that they are planning to put together some sort of a volume on writings about the coronavirus from a number of writers. So it might be something to keep in mind if this is something you've been working on anyway.
Yeah.
Because people, you know, as we're going through this experience, everybody's having a different experience, and we're coming at it from different directions. For me, I'm such an introvert that it hasn't made that much difference for me. It's just, you know, and I'm already retired. So, I mean, it really didn't affect me that much. With Paulette and Jan and a lot of other people, it's been such a huge change in their lifestyle. So as you experience it and you're able to put it into poetry or written form, that's a good thing.
It's been a big change for us because my daughter and granddaughter live with us. So luckily we have a second home out in the mountains. So my kids said, you know, you shouldn't be around the teenager who goes in and out of the house all day long, right? So we've been in the mountains for all these weeks. And, you know, it's great. It's beautiful. It's quiet, good writing time. But, you know, you still miss your family, you know. So that's been an adjustment. So,
It has.
but I'm doing well. Otherwise than that, I'm doing just fine. So,
Right. Nate, you're the next one on my screen. I know that you've been doing a lot more nonfiction writing and posting on your website. You want to talk about what you're up to?
Well, what I'm supposed to be doing is doing a lot of presentations at conferences and going to trade shows and so on, but all that's been put on hold. Like, there's a conference that was supposed to be next week, and I was going to be organizing their swag bag, but they went virtual, so now I'm just going to be giving a presentation on refreshing websites. And in the past week, I've placed 2 guest posts. I'm participating in Nano Promo, if you've heard of it, which is something for the month of May. It's not about writing a book as so much as it's about learning how to promote and market your book.
Cool.
And it's being sponsored by Bad Redhead Media, a marketing firm that works with authors.
Bad Redhead Media. I've not ever heard of that before.
Yeah, it's a little unusual name, yes.
But
yeah,
You can follow them on Twitter, and they have a book, which for some unknown reason she was offering for free, so of course I downloaded it.
And just last Friday, I took part in my first Facebook page takeover. Have you heard of those?
I have.
Yeah, it was interesting. Now I know how to do one. I can do it again. I've been avoiding them before because I didn't know. Also on Friday, our dog died. Our 11-year-old Irish setter.
Oh.
Yeah, it was kind of a messy week last week.
That's a sad thing. Now, you were fostering puppies, a litter of puppies last year, I think.
We stopped that back in February or so because we were just kind of burned out. But he was one of the rescues or fosters, however you want to call it. He was someone else's dog, and they didn't want him anymore because he was an 8-year-old Irish setter with seizure disorder.
Okay.
And so we had him for 3 years.
What's a Facebook takeover? I didn't hear of that before.
Well, this was more of an event page than a Facebook page, but it's when someone is invited on as a guest to post, say, a half-hour increment or an hour increment to post about themselves and post interesting things on a Facebook page. Like, I did an intro post, and then I did a series of posts about tell us something about yourself. What would your next book be called? And interesting, fun things like that. And I also posted jokes, and I also posted things about my one of my social media projects is Tech for Authors, which is basically a little my self-made meme where I give a tech tip and it's embedded in a photo and Instagram graphic. So I shared a bunch of those.
And
Anyway,
who was it that invited you to their page?
Bad Redhead Media.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, Nano Promo.
Okay.
Yeah, is this about getting stuff to your page? Is that what this is about, rather than the profile? Or
it's about going on someone else's page and posting interesting stuff.
I'm just not having much luck getting people over to my page.
Sure.
But it seems like I have more control on my page, and since I'm working with children, I want to make sure that I see what goes onto my page before it goes onto my page. But not many people are visiting my page, so I'm.
Oh well, did you know the Virginia State Club had a page takeover? I think last month, or was it March?
Yeah, I did that actually. That was great. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I chickened out because I just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And then on Thursday I committed to doing it on Friday, and even though the dog was at the vet at the time, I went ahead and moved forward just to. Worst had come to worst. I could always just said, "Oh yeah, my dog died. I was kind of distracted." So yeah, I think it went okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could always use the dog. That's cool. You did a post on Jan Penn's site at one point, and Joanne Penn's site, but you've posted on quite a few other sites too. It was someone with StoryGrid I saw that you did.
Yeah, I mostly stopped guest posting because I just didn't find it worth it. I build websites for authors, and I was finding it much easier to find clients by going to events and speaking at conferences and doing workshops and being an exhibitor.
That's interesting, because that gets to the question of who do you want coming to your website, and if your website is the people that you want coming to your website are potential clients, are people who would be interested in your services. And so your website needs to be geared to who you want your audience to be.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. All right. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
Well, I also, last month, or actually no, back in March, I sent out a newsletter on how to move forward from COVID-19. Does anyone want me to share that on our Facebook page?
Great. Yes, that would be great. And thank you, Catherine, for posting that link on the the digital reader? Oh, there was one about the
one about that.
Media.
That's the nano promo from Bad Redhead Media.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Nate.
Welcome.
Kathy Smaltz, you're the next one on the list. What have you been working on? Kathy? There you go.
Hi everybody. First of all, it's nice to see some new faces. I know that the club has changed a lot in the time that I have been absent from it. So it's nice to see so many people here, and I appreciate the leadership that has stepped up and done everything for this organization. And thank you for welcoming me back. I have been writing poetry, mostly a single poem here and there with no particular, well, I mean, at this point, I don't know if there's a particular theme other than nature. That seems to be evident in most of them. So it's my goal like, I don't have a timeline for this yet, and I probably want to develop one, but I'm not putting a lot of pressure on myself for that right this minute. Right now, I just am happy writing the poems. But eventually, I'd like to create another book. So that means that, you know, I'm looking for another theme. How are they going to go together? What do I have that I've written in the past that is going to hang together? That kind of thing. So right now, I have no idea what that's going to be. Like, I have probably too many ideas and not one that is working toward anything. But that's fine, because I'm just really enjoying writing. And I put a book out, my first book, it came out in late September. And that's why I've given myself permission to not worry about, you know, being productive right now. At some point, though, I've got to get going again. And with all this time, it doesn't really feel like I have that much extra time, to be honest, because I'm very dedicated to staying busy during the workday for my students, and I'm Zooming more with them than I'm required. And as John knows, sometimes it's deflating when only a few students come and you've gotten a lesson together. But on the other hand, I feel that anybody who comes, you know, it was worth it. And to me, that's probably the highlight of my week, is when I actually get to teach and see my students, even if it's only a small class. So anyway, not to get off on the teaching tangent, but that really is providing me with a structure for my day. And so there's an inner voice in my head that says, you've been waiting for this moment all your life. You're home, you have hours to write, you could just write. And I still don't, I'm not using my time that way. So I'm still just eking out a poem every couple of days, rather than dedicating blocks of time. So anyway, what I have been doing, I published a poem on a website, mikemaggio.net, and I'll put that up on the chat in a minute. But he is the outgoing president of the Poetry Society of Virginia. If you don't know Mike, he's been a very good leader in that organization. And he had a 30-day, you know, during April, he would publish a poem every day. So mine was published on the 17th. And I did something fun for that. I like to take free verse poems and make them into closed form poems. So I worked really hard on that. I would say it was my first successful sonnet, because normally I don't write with rhyme at all. So yes, the rhymes are subtle if you go check them out, but they're there. And then I did Fountain in Spring. I don't know if any of you've heard of that, from Dodge Poetry Festival. They release prompts and ideas and meditative things for everybody the last week of the National Poetry Month. So for those of you who are poets, you might enjoy that if you haven't heard of that before. John and I are hoping that Dodge Poetry actually happens in October, you know, in real life. But if it doesn't, I would imagine they'll provide a virtual platform. It's well worth it. I've been going since 2010. They offer it every other year. And the Fountain in Spring offered a lot of things that I haven't even done yet. Like I did Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then I was like, it's too much. So I'm looking forward to going back to doing Thursdays and Fridays.
What was that last thing that you said?
It's called Fountain in Spring. Let me put both of those on there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And it's Dodge Poetry, like John put that on there. Thank you, John. And then the other website is mikemaggio.net. It's his personal website, and he gives poets an opportunity to publish on his site.
Okay.
And I know, you know, I guess the one thing that I would say is a tip for me, and a lot of you've already published and quite, you know, is prolifically a word? Can you make that into an adverb? I'm not sure, but okay, so thank you. Prolifically. I let them go now. I don't worry so much anymore about, oh, this is my poem and I worked so hard on it and it's got to be published in the Atlantic. I don't know if any of my poems will ever be published in any, you know, big magazine or journal that everybody's heard of and respects. And I won't say I don't care at all, but I mostly don't care. What I care about is the joy that the poems bring me when I'm writing them. and the joy that I get when anybody at all connects with them at, say, one of the spilled inks or, you know, anything at all. So I'm kind of over myself with that. And I just enjoy getting them out there in any way, and then reading other people's work. So that's the one thing that's enabled me to publish is saying, hey, I'm going to, thank you, Lee, just to say, hey, I'm going to put this out there, and, you know, if it's on Facebook and no, I can't publish it anywhere else, I don't care, you know, that's fine. So I appreciated the opportunity to do the Facebook poetry contest. Thank you for offering that. That's really what got me moving back into Right by the Rails. So I've been wanting to get back into Right by the Rails for, I don't know, 2 years now. And just leaving the house on a Saturday morning became, I don't want to say impossible, but just, I just didn't want to, you know, that my time at home was so little that I didn't want to go out on the weekends. And now I don't have to go out to do anything. So in a way, these virtual meetings are more, what do you call it, convenient. So anyway, the big thing that I need to do is I need to publicize my book. So I'm going to be looking at some of the things that I've taken a lot of notes from you all today. And like Paulette, I have inventory. I never got to do my book launch party. And you know, that came out in September. That was just, I guess, poor planning on the part of me and my editor and my publisher. We just never got off the ground with it. And I'm really sad because I really wanted to have a party where, you know, friends and people who'd been waiting for this book could come and I could celebrate with everybody. It never happened. So I'm looking forward to doing that when the time arises. And if it doesn't look like it's going to happen in 2020, I think I'm going to have a virtual party. And who was it that was talking about a cookie party? I think it was Bex. I think I'm going to do like a, you know, a bring your own beverage and cheese party or something if it comes to it. And you know, here's the book if you never saw it. And I don't know how, I guess it's on Amazon. So, I mean, I can tell people that, but I'd really like to sell the ones that I've got sitting in a box. And I'm not quite sure how to go about that.
Seen the link and I didn't know you had a book. So you need to put it up on the Right by the Rails website with a picture of the cover and tell us where to contact you and how much. And you might be surprised. Include your postage. Also, I will tell you, my birthday was in April, and I love an event. Now, for a birthday, I have a party, but this one I was holding my 63. So I had a tea party with my nieces, my nephews, my great nieces, my great nephews, my sisters, my dad, everybody. There was about 25 of us. It was really fun. So we did a paint night Thursday night with about 40 of us from my church women's group. So I think you should do a virtual one even now just to get it rolling. Between John putting it on Spilled Ink, Right by the Rails, tell all your friends, pump it up for a month. I think it's worth it. It would be fun. I would come.
I appreciate the encouragement, Jan. Yeah, sometimes I'm not a good self-promoter at all. I just enjoy the art, and I know that a lot of you are excellent at marketing. I'm just not interested in that side of it. And to me, it's sad that we have to do it. You know, like I don't want to do that. I want to write, and I do want to publish because I've always wanted to publish, but I've got to give myself permission to be my own advocate and not hide in the shadows, because that's typically what I do. I'm just, I don't know.
Well, maybe we could do, between John and us, maybe we could sponsor a book launch for a couple of people at a time, like maybe just 2 or 3. We might could put a committee together to think about a way to do that. That might be fun. You know, Friday evening book launch for these 3. We can make it an event, a little bit of fun, some prizes. Yeah, I think it's got potential.
Sounds like a great idea, Jan.
I'm up
Love
for it.
that. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I was thinking on the website, if we had a place, as you said, for Kathy to put her information on the website with a cover shot. Same thing with everybody who's got stuff published. I'm looking at Catherine there too, because you've got books of poetry that are published. But something that we could have on there where you could, when you look at the member's name, that you have a link then that goes to all of their covers and, you know, where they're available. That doesn't go away. I don't know how hard that would be to set up.
For the website, it's kind of a lot of, it's labor intensive because we had that before where we would link the people's names. Right now, the members' names are linked to whatever website or wherever their book lives. But to put up the covers and everything and keep that up to date is...
I think on Facebook and the authors do it.
Yeah, definitely on Facebook, because if you do it in the Facebook group, then I can share it out to the public group, and then, you know, Twitter, and that's a lot less labor intensive, and I'm usually on there kind of every day anyway, which probably shouldn't be, but you know, working from home. Oh, I just say that on the record. I'm fired. Okay.
Well, having a link from each of our members' names to whatever site they want, whether it's an Amazon authors page or their own authors page or website, where each of us can put on our own website what we have available. That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Good thing. All right, let's, Kathy, did you have something else that you wanted? Oh, I see Nate's got his hand up. You have a suggestion?
I just wanted to bring your, I forgot to mention that I'm also going to be, I think, I'm not sure if teaching or speaking yet, but one of the writing coaches I work with is having a stay-at-home, a non-summit summit the week after next. And registration is open now. Registration is now open, and I just shared a link in the chat. And I'm going to be one of the speakers at the summit.
And what is the topic of the Stay-at-Home Story Summit? So is it about promoting or teaching or writing itself, or what is the topic?
Well, I'm going to be doing a video about websites, but I'm not sure what everyone else is contributing yet.
Okay, well, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, thank you.
It's free too. That's the other important point.
Really important.
Yeah. So there's no reason not to register.
Kathy, was there something else you wanted to add?
That was pretty much it. Thank you. It's just, it's great hearing all the ideas and being inspired by the rest of you. So thank you.
Okie doke. Mary Rook, you're the next one on my screen here. How are you and what are you working on?
Hi. Well, I have been working on a YA sci-fi novel for 9 years. It's I've had 5 kids while I've been writing it, and it's been a real learning process. Right now in my edits, I'm trying to get it down to 100,000 words or less so that I can go the traditional publishing route. And as of last night, I have it down to 104,850 words. So I'm getting there every day. Whenever I'm pregnant, I get like super sick. And so it's just been a real process. But I'm almost there. I can like taste it, you know? So that's my biggest project that I have right now. I do, oh, and my baby is going to be a month old tomorrow. So, doing that it's been hard, but fun, you know, and like I said, a real learning process. My husband is super supportive, and you guys were talking about marketing and how we can market our books. I have an Instagram page. My handle is Mary Rook Writes a Book. And
oh, that's cute.
Thank you. It's and just a few days, maybe like last week or 2 weeks ago, I got my husband on to do a short video because there's a lot of authors on Instagram, and you know, you can connect to them really easily through Instagram. And so we just did a short video about some marketing ideas that we that he had. He thinks of marketing ideas for fun. He's got a weird brain. He enjoys doing that. So so I just kind of pulled him on, and he wrote out some ideas. And if you guys want to check it out, I don't know how legit his ideas are because he's not an author, but he is a marketer. So there's some ideas there. I do dabble in poetry as well. I have a few that I just tried to get published, and I got a rejection. So yay. It always feels more legitimate when you get those.
You definitely have to have rejections. That yeah, it's kind of what you have as part of the badge, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I have no badge because I never put it out there because I.
But more
I put my first rejections on Facebook as a life event.
So I just did this. It's on our Facebook page. I made an announcement, and it says, "Show me your book cover with the link where they can be purchased. Then let's share this post." Because a lot of people are home wanting to read something, and if all of us share this, we got the multiplying factor. So put your book there. It's a challenge. I don't have a book, but you do. But I'm a great sharer.
If you have multiple books, put the link to your Amazon author page or something like that, because then you don't have to put in multiple links and people can find everything that you've written in one spot.
Good idea. Mary, did you put your yeah, in the comments here, your Instagram, I'm not sure what it's called, your address or whatever there, so we can go there and find that post?
I'll try to do that, and when I'm done talking, I'll do that.
Okay.
It's kind of difficult to figure out exactly how to get it up. I'm not super tech savvy.
Me either.
I put the only thing I could find was the Facebook page, Mary, and then it says "Watch Mary Rook writes a book." So I put that one up there for you. I don't know. I don't know if they can connect to it through there, but it does say, if you look up in the chat, I put what I could find.
Okay, thanks, John.
Yeah, it's so handy.
Yeah, so helpful.
See, I'm Alice Mergler's personal secretary, and it takes I blend it right in so well.
Here you go.
Anything else, Mary?
I don't think so. That's pretty much it. I'm just like, now that I've finally had my baby, and I hope that I can focus more on this kind of stuff. And like the virus stuff for me has been kind of nice because nobody's trying to touch my baby because we're all quarantined, you know, and I'm kind of a germaphobe with my babies. So I'm like, nobody touch, nobody kiss. And so it's been okay.
Very cool.
They would want to go.
That's a good mommy right now.
Thank you, Mary. Lee, you are up, girl. You're the last one on my screen.
Save the best for last, huh?
Oh, that's right. There you go.
No, now I've set myself up, haven't I? I write poetry mostly, and I enjoy the writing. I'm like Kathy was saying, I enjoy the process mostly of just writing and putting thoughts into some sort of a written format that I can share and hopefully connect with other people over. That's sort of where I come from with my writing. It's mostly that. It's a way to connect with people. And I think right now, especially with this virus pandemic, that's the natural topic I find myself wanting to write about, which can be a little sad. I mean, I try not to dwell or obsess on it, but how can you not? I mean, we're all coping with it and however we cope with it. So I think for me, writing is a way to cope with what's going on around us and try to figure out how you feel about it and what to do or not do about it. I am, like some other people have said, I'm not too outgoing. I'm rather introverted, so I was already staying home a lot. So for me, my life hasn't changed drastically, except I have an elderly father who lives in a different state that I worry about because he goes out and runs errands and knows that there's a virus but doesn't wear a mask. And so I worry about him getting sick. So far he hasn't. So I'm very lucky. And I am trying to put together a book of poems, not about necessarily about the virus pandemic, but about grief, loss, that kind of thing, because I lost my mother last year and that profoundly affected me. So I've been writing new things and gathering older things I had already written about that topic, just based on having emotions about losing people, other people in my life before my mom passed away. So I have another writer that I'm working with that on. We're still in the writing process and putting things in order, poems, selecting the poems, putting them in order, figuring out whether we want to do artwork with it or not. I have some photographs that I might include with it. So trying to figure out if that's something we will end up doing or not doing to illustrate the book. And so it's in the very beginning phases, but I'm really looking forward to getting that one out in the next maybe 6 months or so. So we'll see. And I don't know if I have any tips other than I think just writing whenever you feel the urge is really important. Just putting your pen to paper, so to speak, or your typewriter, using it, or your keyboard, whatever it is you use, just, keep going and don't put pressure on yourself to be great every time you write. Just write and read other people's writing and reach out for help when you need it if you're stuck, or if you need a tip on how to do something. I think that's what this group is so good for. I haven't been participating as much as I should or like to, but I think with I'm going to have some more free time in the near future, I think. So hopefully I'll be more connected with everybody here. But I love the Facebook aspect of this. It suits me perfectly. I can just get on when I want to and see what everybody's up to. And I think the group of people running the group are great at keeping everybody motivated and getting us to share our work. And I really appreciate that. So.
A big yay to Catherine for that. She and Jan have been the propelling force for that. I think they really have helped the club to grow so much. I think when a parent passes away and we become the older generation, that's almost a milestone event, and it's such a big thing in anyone's life. So to be able to memorialize that and really work it through in journaling, that is such a wonderful project. And I love that you're working with somebody on it. It's really interesting. I'll be interested to see what you come up with in the end. Now, other than our Facebook page, where are you sharing your poetry?
I really am kind of like I think it was Kathy was saying she's not a self-promoter. I'm not very good at that. So I only share it I do have a blog. Let me go back a step. I have a blog that I put things on if I think they're blog worthy. I mean, otherwise I just share with probably friends and family, really. I mean, that's it. I do it mostly for myself, but the book will be where my best, hopefully, work shows up eventually. So kind of saving things for that.
I have two thoughts on that. One is, I think our Facebook page is a safe place to share work, especially unpublished work. I always worry if stuff gets out there too much that somebody's parts might be pilfered. So I think, especially poetry. So I think having it on our page and then putting your work in a book is good. The other thing I will say is I would look forward to a book like that. June 6th will be the 3rd year since my mom passed away, very unexpectedly, of a tick bite. And I grew up with great-great-grandmas, great-grandmas, grandmas, my mom, and now I'm the oldest in our family that's left. And I agree with you, Kathy. It's a very different kind of a thing. Like, people were asking about Mother's Day. Well, tomorrow I'm going to the cemetery because all of my family, we have a plot, and that's what I do. I go visit, and I can remember when my grandparents would come and go tend to the plot, I thought it was dumb. And now I'm the one who has to go because I feel like it needs to be done. I take care of them when I change the flowers. So I think there's a lot of people that would really benefit from that, Lee. I'd like to encourage you in that. And as just a marketing thing on that, my mind goes to hospice and letting them, they might want to buy it in bulk to give to families that are going through these things.
That's a really good idea. And I had thought about how to connect with hospice, because when my mom was dying, she had awesome hospice care, and I want to somehow either, if I do sell any copies of this book, gives money to the hospice group that helped her, and maybe that would be, yes, a natural place. I hadn't thought of that as far as connecting with them, as far as giving them or selling them or however copies of the book. Thank you. That's a really good idea.
You're welcome. I'm an idea person.
Yes, you are.
Natural bet. They come to me.
We have poems around town because of Jan. We've got people that are marketing their books because of Jan. I mean, whenever I have a marketing brain block, it's like, Jan, my go-to.
I like it when we do the party and then I get to go like this. Oh, here, would you like to get this book? The author will be happy to sign it to you. I'll never forget doing that for Linda Johnston at the Candy Factory. I had the best time. And she's kind of a quiet person too. And she was like just sitting there waiting for people to come to her. And I just kind of did it. And I think it takes a good mix of us to get all of the things that need to be done.
Absolutely.
That's one reason why I really like the group. Everybody helps everybody. And it's a rare find in a lot of places. And I think we got it going on in that respect.
Absolutely.
No, I think we've been around the room. Catherine, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I'm going to turn off my mic.
Oh, Kathy, I really appreciate you doing this. You were just so smooth. You did interview style, and that was great. Thank you. Because I kind of stink at things like this. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And one thing I just want to say is I just love this team that I'm working with. You ladies are amazing. Just helping out in terms of, I think like we all have our strengths and everyone just like picks up where the other one left off. And it's really hard to find that. So thank you. And I also want to give a shout out to John, who's letting us use his Zoom account and who has been including us in Spilled Ink, and has just really been wonderful at making connections. So thank you, John. Appreciate that too. But I think that's pretty much a wrap. The only thing I wanted to add was that if you are looking for inspiration, there are lots of groups out there that are still doing prompts. Poetry Society did have one where we did a prompt every day all through April, and they're continuing that. So if you're a member of Poetry Society Virginia, let me know, and I can hit you up, give you the link for that group to join. I like it because I have to write marketing and tech stuff during the day, and I want to get my brain back in a poetic place. So it really helps me to go there. So if you can find groups that give you a prompt a day, even if you don't do them, it puts your head in a different space, I think. But I think that's a wrap. I've got someone at my door. My dogs are being obnoxious, so I need to log off. But I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm going to put the video up and put our pictures up, and let's see you next month, but we'll probably see you on Facebook before then. All right, thanks guys.
I promised to get on
Bye,
Facebook.
everyone.
I wasn't consistent with the group.
All right.